Hey, this is Russ McClellan. I'm at Sunset Marina one more time doing the Small Towns Unscripted podcast. And I just want to say thanks to them, but also more importantly, you can rent this facility during the off season. There's an upstairs, downstairs. You get hold of Jolene Baker at Caldwell Banker. I think that's 682-7777. And if you want to rent this, I got married here. I mean, anything you want to do. Poker night, off season, it's a great opportunity. Hang out on the deck. This is winter, but it feels like summer. So hope you're having a good time. Give Jolene a call, and we appreciate using the facility. Jeff Conwell, welcome to Small Towns Unscripted, my friend.
Thank you. It's an honor. Boy, you've done so many of these, and I'm just honored to be included.
Yeah, well, you're fantastic. It's good timing. You just got back in the saddle at KOZI and all of the things that you love to do, and you're back in the game.
And you're great at.
Well, thank you. Yeah, 10 months of retirement. I just about polished off the honey-do list, so I figured
might as well go back to work.
Go back to work.
Yeah, there we go. Probably, wait a minute, I have another list.
yeah, it's actually a conveyor belt. It's kind of, the honey-do list is a trick.
Yeah,
it really, you never get to the end. So,
well, you know, you've said you've seen some of our podcasts.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, so it's the whole idea is just to help people get to know each other a little better instead of each other. And it is funny, isn't it, how we were talking off air that you kind of know of people a lot.
Yeah.
And then when you get to know them, and even myself that has lived here for as long as I have, and generational, whether it's an Earl Stanford or Carol Lewis or Pat Kelly or Jerry Eisenhart, I mean, all these people, and I've known them most of my life.
Sure.
And then I find out, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And, it's really cool because we often find in this town there's a lot of people moving in and assimilating and growing, and yet there's not as many differences in people. Mm-hmm. I think the vast majority of people, and this is my 36 years selling real estate here, and I brought a lot of people here to this town and made a lot of friends over it. A lot of those clients turn into friendships.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And they're the vast majority of them, probably 98% of them are fantastic people.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun to help them. I had a call, we got a call from a client the other day, and he said, "Yeah, Rusty, I heard you say old school is new school." And he said, "So I was going to text you how much I like your podcast, and but you sold me a condo 25 years ago."
Oh, wow.
And it's been fun for me. He was telling me, he called me on the phone. He's like, it's been fun for me because all these people, like the Pat Kellys of the world where you own a hardware store, he goes, I've said hi and I kind of know, but man, I'm just feeling like it's helping me integrate and helping me get to know people. So
that's fun.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we started, and that's hopefully resonating with people. But your story, so. I know of you a little bit. We've known each other a while. I've been on the radio station with you in a few ads and done a few things. But I'd love to know the history of Jeff Conwell.
Okay, well, let's see if we can keep it brief, make it fit in the podcast.
You have a hard time talking on the air, don't
Yeah, right. Well, I actually grew up in Issaquah. And I grew up in Issaquah at a time when it was the size of Chelan. It was just a little cow town. We had dairy farmers and big open fields downtown, and we didn't have a McDonald's. We didn't have any fast food. It was like I say, it was like Chelan. And I didn't even live in Issaquah. I lived in what is now the city of Sammamish, which is up on the plateau, what they call the plateau. And but I was a little lake up there. Pine Lake was the name of the lake that I grew up on. And when people in the early 80s started calling it the plateau, I knew it was time to go. And so, it was one of those things that I had just a charmed childhood growing up on a little lake like that. I thought I was Tom Sawyer. Great community. And I got to go to school with the same kids from kindergarten all the way through high school, and big graduating class. You wouldn't think of it, but the school district is huge over there. It goes from North Bend to Bellevue to Renton, so it's a big school district. We had like 700 kids. Wow. This is back in the 70s. And so anyhow, lots of great times and a fun place to grow up. And when I got out to Chelan, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like coming home. For me, it was like, and the funny thing was, as Issaquah was growing, you saw all those signs, let's not Californicate, and here's Issaquah blowing up, and now it's just huge. Yeah. And then Sammamish is even bigger than Issaquah, where I lived in the woods. So anyhow, all that to say is getting out to Chelan was like coming home for me, and then having the opportunity to find a place on Roses Lake and make my home. My wife and I built in 1999 here at Roses Lake, and so we're 7 years in, and it's just been the best.
And did you work when you came here? Did you you had a second home?
Yeah, that was the second home.
Yeah.
We straddled. At the time, I was partners in an ad agency. I got into radio in 1979-80 over there in Seattle. I was fortunate enough to actually start in the Seattle market, which is really tough. So I felt really blessed to be able to do that. And I was on air over there at several stations, and then had my first daughter and thought I needed to be responsible, so I got off the air in '89 and got into sales and sales management, and then left that and became partners in an ad agency for about 15 years.
Okay.
So
And you were selling ad agency for radio ads?
radio, TV, newspaper, direct mail, it was the whole gamut. There wasn't, the internet really wasn't a thing in those days yet, so we didn't do any of that yet. But it was kind of a funny thing when we came over here and built in 1999. I remember sitting at the stoplight facing Safeway to turn left to go to Manson. And I said to my wife, I said, hey, look, there's KOZI. And she goes, oh, yeah. And I go, someday I'll just retire and do mornings. And I was just joking. And there you go. It happened.
Manifest destiny right there, baby.
Yeah, it happened.
Well, you're such a natural at that. It's cool to have you back on the air.
Well, thank you.
It must be intriguing for you to, when you went on the air the first time, which was when? When did you start working?
In radio?
In KOZI.
At KOZI. I was actually in 2017. For those who remember Jim Day, bless his heart, he and I worked together in Seattle. And we were at a charity auction for 4th of July. I think it was a fundraiser for 4th of July. And I just mentioned to him, I said, hey, if you ever need help at the radio station, let me know. And he goes, really? and I was like, well, yeah.
A little eager.
So he was a little eager, but anyhow. So that started, I was just, doing weekends, helping out Saturdays, doing Second Cup of Coffee. And one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, you're full time.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, and most people do, I think, about Second Cup of Coffee, because it's been around since Jerry's beginning.
Yeah.
What is it really about? Could you explain it to people?
Yeah, Second Cup of Coffee is, I have to tell you, it's a genius program that really involves the community. It's just all about community. And Jerry and
Steve Byquist,
Steve, Steve Byquist and Scott Brundage, Ray Dobbs, all the originals, I call them,
The original gangsters.
Yeah, the original gangsters, Shenanigans, These guys had such a great vision on how to incorporate the community into the radio station. And radio used to be, in a big, big way, the Facebook of the community. And in the good news for KOZI, in a lot of ways it still is, by virtue of the services that we still provide to the community, including Second Cup of Coffee.
Right.
But it's just a great way to incorporate our community on the radio. Interestingly enough, I have talked to program directors and different consultants who have heard Second Cup of Coffee and tried to replicate it in their market, and they can't do it. They just can't do it. They're like, how do you guys do it? How do you make it happen? But it's just part of the fabric of our community now. And we just continue to have fun with it.
Yeah, and you get such a variety of calls. I mean, you don't know what you're going to talk about.
You have no idea. Yesterday, we had a guy call from the Met How, and his poor dog was lost. His name was Charlie, and he only had one eye. And
One-eyed Charlie.
One-eyed Charlie. We found the dog. But by calling KOZI, someone heard it, and they located Charlie. And that's the beauty of it, We get people calling in saying, hey, we found a boat that busted loose in a storm, and we reconnect people with their property. So it's just an amazing program.
Yeah, it's fun, too, when you get the controversial subjects.
It can be a little hairy, yeah.
You do a good job of,
navigating the waters. Yeah. I really try not to make it political. Yeah. There's no question I could have an opinion, but it's not why people are listening. So we let people, share their thoughts. And I always just say, well, hey, thanks for weighing in. Just try to keep it light.
Yeah, one of the things that I love, and I don't know if you see this box in front of you. I bought this box thinking about you in this interview, because I still probably do the vibe questions.
The vibe seller's question of the day.
So I thought I'd get a little revenge on you.
Oh, no. Oh, fun.
So before we go back in, that's a good segue to maybe ask you a couple questions. We've never done this on this podcast.
No.
So I found this
I'm a
game.
little nervous.
It better be a good one.
I found this name, and you can pick the card that you want.
no. I guess I should draw from the middle somewhere.
And hand it over, and I'll read it to you.
Okay, hang on here. I'll put these in the front. There you
All
go.
right, here's the frontline real estate question of the day.
I love it.
See that plug?
Well done.
All right. How do you decide on your children? How did you decide? You have children.
I do.
How many kids do you have?
2 girls.
Okay. How did you decide on your children's names?
Oh, well, my wife decided.
That's an easy one.
It is my oldest daughter.
You can't use that answer.
I know. My oldest daughter's name is Danny, and my wife said, I kind of like that. Boys' names that could be
I do too, yeah.
girls' names
Sam.
like Frankie or So anyhow, she. So I really like Danny. So Danny, and it's not Danielle, it's just D-A-N-I, Danny. And then my youngest daughter is named Brittany. And so, but she picked both of those names. And
you went with it.
I was like, okay, yeah. So there you go.
You had the prime directive, happy wife.
Happy wife, happy life, yeah.
All right, well, that was too easy.
I know.
You got to, I'm going to pick this one for you. I'll have them mark the ones that are hard.
It's a Russ pick.
I'm just kidding. You want to read that one?
I'm going to make sure it's good first.
Okay.
Nah.
Get it out of here.
Get it out.
Let's get a tough one, huh?
Yeah.
These are kind of fun.
Yeah, the whole thing, this is called Tales.
Okay.
And it basically is...
Oh, I actually liked that one. Dang it.
Uh-oh.
It was something on the lines of how... I don't want to ruin it now. Because I want to just foobar it.
You got to pick one. You just got to go with it.
You got to pick a good one.
Got to find a good one. Uh-oh. No, she's picky.
She's the comptroller of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, you got to do it.
Okay.
I'm going to read it because I think they're going to be good. What did you study in college? I'm assuming it's broadcasting.
Well, interestingly enough, so I went to college for a year, and I hated it. I just hated it. At first, I thought I was going to be a physical therapist, and then I thought I was going to be an accountant. So I was taking accounting classes, and I was like, what am I doing? I hate this. The truth of the matter is, I knew I wanted to be in radio when I was 16 years old.
Now, how did that come about?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. To me, I went to the Space Needle with 2 girls, and I don't even remember why, but we went up to the observation deck, and KJR, for those who remember KJR back in the heyday, it was the monster radio station of Seattle. And they had a guy broadcasting from a booth that they had built there in the Space Needle. And all the girls walked up to the glass and just like pressed themselves against the glass. And I stood there thinking, I want to be that guy.
This is good.
But then, you're just 16 years old.
Yeah.
And you think, who am I to think I could do that? Come on, you got to be special to be able to do that. So I did the year in college. I was almost 19. And I dropped out of college, and I enrolled in a broadcast school. So it was a year-long program. You graduated with an AA degree. I did an internship at KMPS. It was the #1 country station in Seattle at the time. So I got a lot of great experience. But I knew the minute I enrolled in the broadcast school, I was just out of my mind excited. And I just couldn't get enough of it.
Isn't it funny that when you're young, and I think it's very common to not have a clue. So you were very unique in that way that you had, you had dating bait on your mind. I'm going to be a Tom Selleck of the future, whatever, back in the day.
I just was like, this is too fun. It looked like so much fun.
Yeah, I had a similar crazy story about getting into real estate. I was in college, and in between, the first years I just played basketball.
Yeah.
Had fun. And I went to Wenatchee Valley, and then I went to Central, and I was like, I showed up that summer after my sophomore year at Wenatchee. I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I'll do an internship. So I thought maybe I'll be a lawyer. So I went to a law firm, got all suited up at 19 or whatever I was in college, and I went to an interview, and they were like, no, we don't want you. So I went to another insurance company. Maybe I'll do I went to a finance company because I was thinking I'd major in business. I had an uncle that was a finance guy, and I was like, that seems kind of cool. So they're like, no, we don't need any kids. Get the hell out of here. Then I walked into a real estate company, and man, they rolled out the red carpet, and I was like, man, this guy really, I must have a knack for this. And then it turned out that real estate companies
does that?
Everybody hires everybody.
You're not special? No, I'm just kidding.
So you're like,
That's great. But look what it turned into.
Yeah,
for you.
and then it was even funnier in my degree. And when I majored, I had to declare a major, and I sat down with his counselor. I didn't have any counselors helped me. I just sat down and they go, what are you in a major? And you got to declare a major if you're a junior.
Mm-hmm.
I said business, and they go, okay, well, what kind of business? And I said, what kind are there? And then they said management, and I said, that's kind of like telling people what to do. I don't need a major in that. Cocky, you know.
Perfect.
Don't know anything, but you think you know everything.
Yeah.
And then they go, how about marketing? That's like selling stuff? And they go, yeah. And I don't need to do that. I was trying to find something I didn't know anything about, and I said, I want to major in money. I want to major in like how does it work? And they go, finance. Sign me up.
There you go.
I had no idea.
That's great.
And then I knew real estate was a bug. In fact, I tried not to go to Central. My dad, was kind of an old school guy. I don't know if you ever met my dad, but he was a good man, and he worked hard. And his goal, his dad died, when he was young, and he's like, you're going to be the first guy to go to college, in our family and stuff. Nice. And so I said, Dad, I made the year before I was doing heavy construction and tilt-up warehouses, making like $7 an hour, and it was dangerous, and it was like hard, and I made like $2,000 or $3,000 for the whole summer, working all the time. And that next summer I made like $10,000 in the summer. And I was like, Dad, this sales thing, it's pretty good. I don't think we should spend this money. I think I should just keep selling. He just looks at me and he goes, yeah, that's going to be hard for you to do. And I go, no, I'm really good at it. I mean, I sold. I just started selling. And he goes, yeah. I don't mean that. Physically, it's going to be hard for you to do. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, with 2 broken legs, it's going to be hard to sell real estate. I'm going to break both your legs.
You get back to school.
I was like, oh. And he said it in such a way, he wasn't a violent guy, but it was like, anyway.
That's great.
So back to your kids, though, real quick. How old are they now? What are they doing?
Right. So I've got a 39-year-old daughter and a 35-year-old daughter. And my oldest daughter has 3 daughters, so I've got 3 granddaughters, 12, 10, and 8. Oh, boy. They're just hilariously fun. And then my youngest daughter has 2 little boys, 4 and 1. And so, and they live in Tennessee. So
both of them?
No. The youngest daughter lives in Tennessee. Okay. Oldest daughter lives in Bonnie Lake. And she, too, is in real estate.
Oh, she?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
there
cool.
You go. Yeah.
How did you meet your wife?
Yeah.
Well, so we met through mutual friends. We were both going through a challenging situation, and they just said, you guys should go have coffee. And so we went and had coffee, started laughing, and never stopped.
You seem like you're a jovial guy all the time. Like every time I've ever seen you, heard you talk, you're
I
like
hope
full
so.
of youthful exuberance. I mean, you're just like always up.
Try to have fun, right? I know everybody has their moments, but try to have fun and try to lighten things up.
Yeah.
Try to keep it light sometimes.
Yeah, well, I like this game. What do you think?
He's going for another card.
Okay, I'll give you, I think you kind of covered this one. How do you think about money or wealth now?
Oh.
That's the one I was going to foobar earlier. Thank you for finding it.
How do I think about money or wealth? I think like you, let's talk about money. I think that cash is king. I think real estate's a great investment. It's been good to me. Over the years, we've owned apartment complexes. We still own property out in Manson, some commercial property out in Manson. Of course, our homes have been, great investments. So I'm a big believer in real estate. So if you need help, get in touch with Russ.
Yeah, right. I got a Nicole.
Or Nicole. Or Nicole. There you go. So I think that debt is dumb. Stay out of debt. Pay off your bills.
What advice would you give to your kids that are now in their 30s if they were 18?
Oh boy, start putting away money now. 65 gets here faster than you think. Everybody tells you that. Yeah. That's the crazy thing is everybody tells you time goes so fast, and you're like, oh yeah. You kind of like you just shine them on. Oh okay, but no, it's the truth. It's like it's so fast.
And then the percentage of your life. I heard this once. Why does it feel like it goes faster as you get older? Because the percentage of your mortality, every year is a greater percentage of what you have left.
Yes.
When you're 20, you're like,
yeah.
I got 1,000 years left.
Isn't that true? And it's a funny thing, kind of a weird analogy for me in terms of how fast life goes. Being a kid, growing up on Pine Lake where I did, I only spent 15 years of my life there. I mean, I've been on Rose's Lake almost twice as long.
Wow, yeah.
Yet the time I spent on Pine Lake feels
forever.
And it was much shorter. It was half the time. But here I am now because it's just cranking. The years are just cranking.
They
now.
are.
Yeah.
So you're right. Save your money. Don't go into debt. Don't make dumb purchases. Don't buy new cars. Just on and on.
The long game, I try to tell people that you think when you're in your early 20s, at least I did, and I think it's pretty common, that it's going to be forever before I'm successful. It's like, I need to get this now. And then you realize that if you just stay consistent,
right, and
try not to, it's okay to change your mind a bunch of times. That's normal these days. That's one of the things I think that we've talked about this, that when 30 and under, 35 and under, it's really unusual to stay at a company 30 years.
Right.
But when you were growing up, even when I was growing up a little bit, that was kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Yeah.
And
you're supposed to do.
And you made a good point about, especially bigger companies, you could take any of them, but take Boeing, for example. I know a lot of Boeing employees, and it's not necessarily the same company or the same ideology.
Yeah.
So the company doesn't look at you like that either. So it's kind of this back and forth. Well, why would I commit to you if you're not committing to me?
100%.
Yeah.
It really changed. My dad retired, 35-year Boeing guy, and they kicked him out the door at 55. They called it the golden handshake, and they actually gave him the difference in Social Security he would be missing out on until he was age 62. They called it the golden handshake.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, so good for him, but it's like that kind of stuff just...
Now you get a watch,
happen.
the Timex.
It's a bad
40
Timex.
years, here's
maybe
your
an
watch.
Apple Watch, if you're lucky. There you go.
Yeah.
So but I think I showed my oldest granddaughter, who's now 12, and she's really dialed into money. She loves saving her money and selling things and trading things for money. So I was showing her, if she put money, just throw it in the S&P 500 and don't touch it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show her how time is on her side, and her eyes were just like, what? I was like, yeah, it'll grow on its own. You just put it in there. Time is your friend right now. So,
and it's weird too, without some discipline, and I've been all over the board, and I'm a massive risk taker, and so I've been up and down. But I have a daughter, it's a doctor of audiology, and we're closing on her first home. I helped buy her home on the other side, or sell her home on the other side of the mountains. And her husband's a police officer, so they make good money.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about money is, if you're not aware of it, you'll spend it.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter how much you make.
Right.
I mean, that sounds ridiculous for somebody that hasn't made quite a bit of money or above average, but it's true. You can go look at athletes, and 80% of the professional athletes are broke.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, and it's like everybody thinks you play in professional sports forever. What is it? The average career in the NFL is 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, and you don't even get the retirement package until you're 6. So it's like, not everybody's reaching that goal.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then the funny thing about real estate, when rates dropped, my son got out of the Marine Corps here, and he works with us now in excavation, and he was working for Van Doren Sales, which was a great job coming out of the Marine Corps. He was in the V-22 Osprey, he was a sergeant, and he did electronics on the aircraft. And so I said, hey, rates are at 3%, you need to buy a house. I don't care which one it is. It's
just buy one.
It's cheap money. You just need to get in, and you got a W-2, so you can do that. And there's programs that we can help people. In fact, we help a lot of people with down payments.
Sure.
There's various cool programs, 0 interest down payments. There's all kinds of stuff that are available to certain people. You just have to know about it. But he bought one, and the reason it's kind of funny is my daughter's a doctor making good money, and she has a couple kids, but she's been renting, and she's been renting a nice house. And I was telling her, it's a nice house. It's too nice. You should be buying a duplex. You should be sacrificing. And Mason bought a real, rough house in Chelan Falls but had 3 legal lots of record, and then time flies.
Yeah.
And now we had an opportunity to move back to Manson, and we bought the place side by side.
Oh, nice.
And 15 acres out a quarter mile from where I grew up. So it's
That's
kind
great.
of a dream come true for us. But I told him what his house was worth, and he was like, "What?" I did what? I made $100,000 maybe. And I told his sister, your brother just made about $100,000 in equity in not that long. He fixed it up, worked nights, put in the floor, did all the sweat equity. And she was like, I want in on that game.
That's right. Yeah, once you get a taste, you kind of go, okay, this is the way the game is played.
Yeah.
And it works.
It works.
You don't have to be smart. You just have to be prudent, make good choices, and be consistent, like you said.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, I looked up on LinkedIn, I found you, and man, you've been involved in a lot of Manson stuff. Manson Chamber.
Manson sweatshirt.
Hey, I'm a Manson guy.
Yeah, you are.
My kids are the first traders.
Yeah.
Flying goats, but that was probably my fault. No, so you've been you've been the chairman of the festival. Apple Blossom Fest. Tell me about that experience working in politics and working with the community council.
Yeah. Well, my first venture into working with the community out in Manson was with the then Manson Business Association, working with Kim and Jerry Ustanik and some other folks in, really taking, because my wife and I started Green Dot Sub Shop way back in the day. And so, we wanted to be part of the business community. So we got involved in that, and after about a year of involvement in that, it kind of became apparent that the Manson Business Association really needed to evolve and become a chamber of commerce. So the board agreed that we wanted to take that next step. It would allow us to get things like lodging tax funds so that we could promote and do events and get some monies and some fundings to help do those things to support our business community. So I first got involved in that and served as president of the chamber, first president of the chamber. It was great fun, and it continues today. They've got a great, visitor center, and they sell souvenirs now, and they're doing a great job. A great team of leadership out there. So that's been, part. I continue to be a member of that organization. Great opportunity there. I also serve on a board up at the high school, and it's for really the upcoming technologies. I think it's called CTE. I can't remember the acronym, but it's all about new technologies. Like right now, they're really diving into how do we steer kids into AI and protect them all at the same time. There's a viticulture program that they're doing up there, relevant programs that are going to help kids. There's even a nursing program that they're doing and healthcare program that they're directing students in. So a lot of great things, and it's fun to be involved in that organization as well. So I haven't really served on the board of the Apple Blossom, but I've had the high honor at least 7 times of emceeing the Apple Blossom ceremony. Okay. And that's been really a lot of fun. So I really enjoy the opportunity to participate in the different community events that we have. And then, of course, being on KOZI, that opens up the floodgates to being involved in different charity organizations and different things. And so it's really, I really value the opportunity. When you look at what are you good at? I don't think I'm good at a lot of things, but the one thing that I can say I'm probably okay at is talking. And maybe emceeing, and so I have the honor of being asked to do those things from time to time. And I just love to try to make, particularly those fundraising things, as successful as possible.
Yeah.
So you've been involved in the Manson Business Association for a while.
Yeah.
Where do you see that? If you had a crystal ball, where's Manson going to be in 10 years?
Well, that's a pretty controversial topic, because I am on the Manson Community Council at this particular time, and I've been on the council before. We are right now in the process of doing a feasibility study for the incorporation of Manson to become a city.
Yeah, so a lot of people may not know it's currently a town,
right,
an unincorporated area, and there's specific zoning rules that
the county dictates.
The county dictates what you can do, where you can do it, and they give you have an advisory committee that advises the county commissioners and the staff, right?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct. And so it's one of those things that we've heard from the county, and they've clearly indicated, look, we do not have the wherewithal to care for Manson like a city. I mean, right now, the Manson Chamber of Commerce pays to empty the garbage cans downtown Manson.
Oh.
Okay. They shouldn't have to do that, but they do. And so there's some other issues that are going into, is this the best way for Manson to continue?
Yeah.
Now, we're doing our best to take an unbiased look at, is this the right thing to do for Manson? Ultimately, the citizens will decide, if Manson becomes a city or not. I will tell you, the committee that's doing this feasibility study, we just recently interviewed the ENIAT mayor and council members. Mm-hmm. They were very generous to give us all of their budgets, their county contracts, all of the information that they work from to run their city.
Yeah.
My parting question to them was, all of them, would you consider becoming unincorporated again and allowing the county to handle your affairs? And in unison, they said, no way. No way. No, it's not a knock on Chelan County. No. They're doing all they can with what they have to work with.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, looking through my knothole, not as a community council member, Manson is going to grow. I mean, Bob Getty says Manson's going to outgrow Chelan. We have the space. We have the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at a crystal ball, a timeline of today out 20 years, I think most people will agree that Manson's going to become a city.
Yeah.
Now, if that's true, why not now? I mean, why would we wait to let all these uncontrollable circumstances, occur when we as a city could perhaps control them?
Yeah.
And then finally, my thought is, I'm hard pressed to believe that 3 people in Wenatchee care more about Manson than the people of Manson. If I'm wrong, just tell me so, convince me, and I'll think otherwise. So we're going to continue with this feasibility study.
I know that's been a conversation for a long time.
I know, forever.
Which is everything that ends up changing has been talked about for a long time. It's just part of the game. You have to start somewhere, and you have to go through things.
And it's not because anybody's power hungry or wants control. It's about what's best for Manson.
Yeah.
And if it's best to stay unincorporated, okay. I'm not going to die on that hill, but I do think it's a worthwhile endeavor to provide the community with the information. And let them decide.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of leadership, and it takes some discipline to actually go through the process and the volunteer work. I mean, a lot of these people involved in leadership aren't making money.
Right.
There's
no money in it, I promise.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of things. We talked about the Rich Uhlhorn and John Walker we had on last week, and they talked about the rec association that was once a big thing.
Right.
And there was about 6-8 people that really spent a lot of energy of their volunteer time to make amazing things happen.
Yeah.
And it's always sometimes when those people leave, there's a gap. And that's particular one organization or something like that could really be rejuvenated.
Right.
But it takes volunteers and time.
It does. And that is really, you look around and it's the lifeblood of this community. Volunteers. I mean, Guild B. I emceed in October one of their big events up at Sorrento's. And year after year, people just pour into that organization that just then in turn pours it all back into the hospital and good things there. Young Life doing the things that they do for the youth of our community as well. And it just goes on and on. The community center.
That's huge.
Everything is demanding of volunteers, and people step up.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about trying to stop some of the natural polarization that happens when change happens.
Right.
And when there's gentrification that's occurring, and there's growth that's occurring, and there's new people, new town, new ideology, there's some challenges in that for sure. I mean, we all the people that grew up here kind of remember, like you remember Pine Lake. I remember going to the Manson swimming hole and riding my bicycle to Chelan. And it was a very different place. But things are inevitably going to change.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if they're inevitably, to your point, going to grow, maybe we can embrace it instead of fight it.
Right.
And then one of the reasons we're doing the podcast is hopefully, like I said earlier, the vast majority of people that are moving here are amazing people, just like yourself. And some of those people, and I'll pick on Rod Brooks, who's a board of director member at the community center. Now he's retired. He's been coming here a long time, bought a home, second home, moved into it. Well, he started the Grandpa Project to adopt kids that didn't have grandparents because they have time. A lot of the guys have time,
right,
and a lot of energy still. They're done with their career or whatever. Man, it's a huge resource for the town.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the positive side of this growth, there's an amazing amount of things that are occurring for. I think that you know about some, I know about some, but maybe a lot of people just don't know all the positive things that are happening.
Right.
So to me, I just there's always a way to find, inside of growth and challenges and change.
Yes.
Change doesn't mean bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're going to evolve anyways as a town, why don't you guys dictate how you evolve instead of waiting till it's too late and now it's all funky and clustered together, or it's dictated by outside resources you can't now mitigate.
Exactly my thoughts. So we'll see how it goes. Again, we don't have a gun to our head. We're again trying to get the details, trying to get the facts, and make an unbiased presentation to the community. and let them decide.
Well, and it's like, you look at politics in general. It doesn't have to be all this way or all this extreme or that extreme. There's actually a middle.
Yeah.
And you can look at something that has pluses and minuses and make a decision. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is absolutely horrible. There's usually pluses and minuses, and it just takes time and energy. And so it's kind of fun. I mean, and I think I feel like we're getting there. Hopefully this podcast is helping a little bit, because once you know people, I just believe we have a lot more in common.
Yeah, 100%.
Than we thought. So, all right, I'm going to get back to this game.
Oh, no, the cards.
The Vibe Seller question of the day. I love those guys at Vibe.
Yeah, Eric's going to love this.
What did your parents do for work?
Oh, yeah. So my dad, like I said, was a 35-year Boeing guy. My mom actually did do a stint at Boeing as well, but she originally was the payroll supervisor for the Issaquah School District. So, yeah.
She ended up going were they from there originally, or
no?
Where did your grandparents come from?
Well, oh boy, my family's a train wreck. In that regard, it's like I had my great grandmother, they were from Oklahoma and Chicago, and it was so gangster. I mean, it was crazy. My great grandma, everybody called her Mom. I don't know why, but we all just called her Mom. And she was a terrific lady. She lived out in Falls City, out in the middle of nowhere. And I hope this isn't TMI, but when you would spend the night out there with her as a kid, she had an outhouse, and so she put a coffee can under your bed in case you had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And so she was truly a hillbilly.
Old school.
Yeah, old school. So, but yeah, Chicago, Oklahoma. My mom was born in Oregon, Portland, but then grew up in San Francisco, the Bay Area. My dad met her when he was in the Navy. They got married when she was 15 and he was 17.
There you go.
Wild.
That's a little crazy.
For today's society.
And my mom was only 20 when she had me, and so I always had the youngest mom, on the planet. And so, and she was, everybody always go, "Your mom is so pretty." And so I was kind of proud of that.
Yeah, do you have brothers, sisters?
Have a little brother. He's 7 years younger. And then I had a sister who was a year older, 14 months older, and we lost her when she was 14. So I was 13, she was 14. It was just a tragic horse accident. She was a big horse fan, and just an unforeseen
That just fell off a horse.
Accident. Yeah. So it was a terrible situation.
Yeah, how'd that affect you at that age?
It was kind of funny. Well, not at all funny, but I was only 13, and to process it was just really oh wow, bummer. And it didn't hit me. The magnitude of the loss didn't hit me until I had my daughter.
Oh.
And then I was just wrecked at what my parents had to deal with.
Yeah, how did they end up after that? Because that causes so much.
Yeah,
tension.
It was an unfortunate set of circumstances, and my parents did end up getting divorced in 1979. I think it was 80, something like that. So this all happened in 74, and then they ended up getting divorced. It was just a sad set of circumstances.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Unless you've been through it, it's really hard to lose a child. That's just and I've known a lot of people that sadly have. And I have so much admiration for the strength and character to even go on.
Yeah.
I mean, and
it's just
you have to, but it's they kind of get a get out of jail free card with me.
Yeah, 100%. It's a gut wrenching situation that there's no happy ending to it at all. So but it's in fact, she would have January 4th. She would have just turned 67. So she's kind of top of mind for me this month. But
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So what are the things that Jeff likes to do? You and your wife like to do when you're not working and volunteering, MCing. You got a lot of hats.
I know. There's been a lot of fun things that we're doing. I have kind of been dabbling with winemaking. I've got a barrel in my garage, and a big shout out to Bill Swain and Jeff Crowder, who have been really helpful to me in this last batch of wine, or last couple of batches of wine. And so I typically just make Syrah, just stick to one varietal. That's my wife's favorite, so I can't go wrong. And they've come out great. So I've been having a lot of fun making wine. And it also, with doing all these interviews with wineries, it kind of keeps me in their world.
Oh, yeah.
I'm part of the process, and I can kind of talk their language. So it's been kind of fun. So doing that, playing some pickleball, being, as you mentioned, involved in the community a lot. Being a grandparent is like just such a huge blessing to be able to play with grandkids. My oldest granddaughter loves fishing, which is a hoot, so we've really been diving in. When she comes over, we're always down on the dock fishing, and that's been a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, that lake, I lived not very far from, we'd always go down there. I lived on Washington Street. So
oh, yeah.
We just jumped on the hill. In fact, we farmed an orchard where the winery is right above Rose's Lake. That was our orchard.
Okay. Are you talking about Chelan Valley Farms?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. That, when they pulled that orchard out, it just crushed me. I stood out there on the deck, and that track hoe just picking those trees like weeds. Oh.
Yeah, that's one of the things we talk about a lot lately, because it's a rough time, very rough time for the economic side of farming.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of easy answers.
No.
And so one of the things we often share is that when you see something like that, there's the people that maybe naturally were like, well, that sucks, they're selling it, they're going to plant houses, whatever. Right. That may not be by choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's generational people that are facing some very, very difficult economic choices.
Sure.
And sometimes they don't have a choice.
Right.
Markets go up, markets go down. There's a lot of forces that impact you that you have no control over, especially as a small farmer.
Yeah.
So I always just ask people, when you do see something like that, maybe empathize.
100%.
With
100%. And it does. You could tell it's like looking at those trees, from your orchard.
I raised 3 kids with that. My dad had 18 acres. There was 8 acres there and 10 acres on Washington Street. He raised 3 kids.
And those trees had to be pushing at that time even 100 years, 80, 100, 75, 100, I don't know. But you could tell they were very mature trees. It was a very mature orchard. And it's terrible when you see that happening. I just know that it's a heartache.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. Maybe, I don't know if you know this, but back in the mid 80s, early 80s, maybe late 70s, apple orchards were worth about $15,000 an acre.
Okay.
You could buy an acre of irrigated land in the basin for $1,000 an acre. So you're paying 15 times the investment to do the same thing here as a business, because that's really where that was the livelihood of the vast majority of people here, right?
Sure.
So part of the reason people did that is they invested in their land, like we talked about earlier. And if you pay 15x now, you always knew that you had maybe an option. Where if you're just part of thousands of acres, there's no other highest and best use ever.
Yeah.
So even though it's sad to see, they invested in that, all that money, 15 times what it would have taken to farm in the basin, to A, live here, and then B, have an opportunity to maybe get out if something ever went bad.
Right.
So sometimes I also, I'm a big private property rights guy, and I think we have zoning codes for a reason. I think we have comprehensive plans for a reason. I think there's a Growth Management Act for a reason. I think there's a whole litany of rules that you have to follow. And then what sometimes gets to me a little bit is when people just come taking shots at all of those rules, all of those plans, and they don't realize that that person maybe just spent 50 years investing.
Right.
Maybe they should have the right, if it's within the law, to do whatever the law says they're okay to do.
Yes.
You don't have to maybe like it. You'd rather see it in an orchard. Me too.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say you can't do something because I don't like it, even though it's legal?
Right.
I mean, to me, they earned that right. They paid for it.
Yeah. It puts them it boxes them. It really does. And their hands are tied, and we're seeing that happen. So it's
and it's just something to think about, that maybe if you're not in the game, you don't know about it.
Yeah.
There you go. I love
Another
this.
question.
This is your vibe. You've started it. I'm doing it.
This one says, "Tell me about your children," which you were.
Oh yeah, we did that. Yeah, we did that.
One in the middle.
Too funny.
So did you know this have midlife, early life, and
oh no,
I don't read. I don't pay attention.
Yeah. She just grabs
later
them
life,
out.
I just grab them.
midlife. How did your friends and family feel about your fiance?
I think good. Everybody.
It worked out.
She's pretty amazing. Yeah.
What did she do for work?
So interestingly enough, Debbie worked at a QFC, a grocery chain over in the Puget Sound area, and then with children, just became a mom. And then when they became school age, she actually worked for Allstate Insurance for about 14 years. And then when we moved over here, we took a year off And I was just doing voiceover work in the basement. I've got a studio. So I'm doing voiceover work, I'm doing all these commercials and narrations and stuff. And one night, I was digging it because I would come up from about 5 o'clock from doing all my production work, and she would be cooking dinner, pouring a glass of wine, and she would go, "How was your commute?" It would go, "It was great." And so, but one night I came up and she goes, "I'm kind of getting bored." And I go, "What?" She goes, I'm a little bored. I want to do something. Maybe I'll go to Wenatchee and get a job." And I go, "You're not commuting to Wenatchee." So that's when I said, "Hey, let's do something cool. Maybe open like a burger place." Because Burger Barn was kind of kind of a train wreck. And so we decided, I wanted to do a burger place, and she goes, "Oh, that's gross. Grease, and I don't want to do that." So I said, "Well, what would you do?" And she goes, "I'd do a sub shop." And I thought, well, there's a hole in the market for that.
Yeah.
So we went out looking for a building, and we found through Jim McClellan, Jim
Northrup.
Northrup, thank you. I'm sorry. James was a relative of yours. Jim McClellan.
Yeah, cousins. Yeah.
Cousins. Okay.
Yeah.
The roots run deep.
Yeah,
I know.
oh boy.
So yeah, Jim Northrup, and Jim showed us the little building that was Troy's Pizza, the original Troy's, and it was available. So we leased that and started Green Dot Sub Shop right there. In fact, I originally wanted to call it Red Dot. I wanted to do burgers, and I was going to call it Red Dot Burgers. Long story on that I won't get into. But she goes, "Well, it's got a green roof. What are you going to call it?" And I go, "I guess we'll call it Green Dot Sub Shop." So that's how we got Green Dot Sub Shop.
What did you learn by that whole process and experience after doing it a while? And
I loved it. I thought it was fun because you were so engaged with the community, and slinging subs is fun. You talk to people while you're making sandwiches, and but it was crazy. We actually went so far as to do all of the paperwork to franchise it, and and all of it. Yeah, we had it all ready to go, and we actually had a store in Richland. Then we had the Chelan store, and I found myself driving to Richland all the time trying to help these folks with their store, and they were panicking and freaking out. And anyhow, I just told my wife, I go, "You know what? I don't want to do this franchise thing, because if people are going to call me freaking out, I don't want them to be freaking out. I don't want to be freaking out for them." And so we jumped out of, after spending all that money to do that, we jumped out of the franchise thing. But Cindy Sneesby, she and Dave Sneesby purchased Green Dot Sub Shop. She opened the Chelan store when it was open. But COVID was just a backbreaker, and she couldn't get help to continue with the Chelan store.
Yeah.
So she then leased it. She owns the building and leased it to Woody's. It's now Woody's. But I learned a lot from doing that, and it's a good thing I'm married, because right now our building is available. And I told my wife, I said, if I wasn't married, I would put in a burger place, just smash burgers and fries and just do the awesome stuff. And so, she's like, "Well, you can do it if you want, but I'm not doing it."
We were reminiscing with some friends, because when I grew up, there was a burger shop called the Lemon Tree.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of right in the middle of town. And I just remember it was one of those kind of old cafe styles where his kids would go in there and spin around on the stools.
Yeah.
They had the greatest French fries.
Oh, yeah.
Just good memories.
Now, I'd love to give that to Manson. I mean, Manson could use just a killer burger place.
Yeah.
Not to take away from, any of the restaurants that put out burgers or anything like that.
Well, not everybody go to Buddy's,
Well, that's right. So you just go do a solid burger place. So if somebody's interested in doing that, I've got a great building for it.
Perfect.
So.
$1 down, $1 a day.
That's right.
$1 million.
There you go.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, fun times.
And you probably learned in that business, the margins are important.
Margins are incredibly important, and you need to really dial in your labor costs. You got to dial in your food costs, because it's food and labor. Those are your two biggest expenses.
Yeah.
So,
Did you know I opened a restaurant in Chelan once?
Did you
know
know?
that? Yeah.
Okay.
Where Tin Lily is now. We built that building.
Oh, okay.
And it was called, we had it about 3 years. It was called the Bonfire Grill.
I remember Bonfire Grill.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was one of those things, I have a finance degree, so they said in, finance school, like, whatever you do, don't open a restaurant.
I know, right?
Especially if you're going to hire it.
Yep.
Especially in a seasonal town. I'm like, come on.
It can be a tough nut to crack. It can be a tough nut to crack. But,
it was fun.
I had a lot of fun with it myself. So yeah, I encourage all of our restaurateurs, stay in the fight, you know, because we need them.
Yeah.
You learn a lot, though. You just learn
You do.
a lot.
It's a big education.
And I'd be a lot better at it. My wife, I said, I'd be a lot better at it now if we did it again.
Right? No, you're not doing that. No, I know.
But the best thing, in life, I don't have a lot of regrets. I've been pretty blessed. But my mom and dad loved it, and
That's
they
great.
never would have had an opportunity. He was like a maitre d' kind of, like you'd go in there,
Yeah.
and he'd have his cowboy's hat and his vest on, and let me get you a table.
That's right.
Get like this client calls on the podcast, says, "Oh, your parents just randomly brought us a bottle of champagne." I'm like, "No wonder I'm not making any money."
Right.
That
is awesome.
But he just my dad was an amazing guy, and to give him different opportunities to live past the orchard life was fun.
That
So
is great. Fun times.
I have a lot of other money reasons why I may not want to do it, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, a lot of times, if you can't structure it right,
Yeah.
it's a job.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself working your business.
Well, the first month I thought it was great. I had my accountants got the numbers, and they go, "Yeah, you made $120,000 this month." And I go, "That's awesome." They go, "But you spent $130."
yeah, there you go.
We did?
Yeah, right.
Well, what the heck's
How'd
going
that
on?
happen?
How'd that happen?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I
Good
don't know,
stuff.
that's kind of a fun game. You're the first person we've tried this with.
Oh, well, I'm
you're,
honored.
You're the rookie,
The guinea pig.
Yeah, the guinea pig. What were some of the things you did to earn money in your high school, college days?
Oh, great question. When I was a kid, I worked at a bowling alley, and I loved it. It was great. I was what they called a pin chaser, and so you were actually just the guy in the back. And if the machine broke, they would be like lane 4, and you'd run down to lane 4, and whatever's wrong, they taught you how to fix it, and you'd fix it and get them back in action. So I loved doing that. And then when I was 16, I started working at gas stations, and that was like the coolest job because that was when we did full service.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Check
yeah.
the oil.
Check the oil,
Wash the windows.
wash the windows, check under the hood, and make sure all their tail lights and headlights were working. And I had the high privilege of working for a guy who ran the #1 retailing Union 76 station in the country.
Oh, really?
And it was in Redmond, Washington. Wow. And it was Harry Lyle. Great guy. He looked like Johnny Carson, and he was such a smart businessman. He was a charter member at the Sahalee Country Club. So when Jimmy Carter had all of his gas problems, he went up and had all of the members of Sahalee sign up. They had gas appointments to come in and get their tanks filled. And then he also did the same thing for the Seattle Seahawks, because their practice facility was just over the hill in Kirkland, but many of them lived in condominiums in Redmond.
Wow.
And so we had all the Seahawks come in, and we had all these wealthy people from Sahalee come in, and we had the highest gas prices of anybody. I didn't even buy my own gas there as a kid because it was so expensive. And I mean, we were charging, this was like in 1976, 77, and we were charging like 77 cents a gallon when you could go buy it for like 45 cents a gallon elsewhere.
Oh.
So we were really top tier, but a guy would walk in and throw you a 20 and go fill it up, and you thought, wow, this guy's got bank, I mean, it was hilarious. But no, it was really a great training ground on selling and customer service.
Yeah.
And at that time, you think about interest rates. People were buying houses
Yeah.
in the 70s with Jimmy Carter.
Oh my gosh, what was it in the teens?
And
Interest
19
rates
at
in
one point?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
19% interest.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
We were
Well-
upset. It went from 3 to 6.
Well, that's,
The
I know.
house was what, 20,000?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
15?
But it's
Oh.
all kind of relative.
It was relative in
It
a
is- it
way.
is definitely relative,
But that
yeah.
was when you would put your money in a money market account at 19%
Yeah, you
interest.
make more.
Yeah.
You'd be like, ka-ching.
Yeah, if you're investing in the markets,
Yeah.
you're great. If you're borrowing money, it was
It's a little harder.
Crazy, crazy. Yeah.
And it's
so-
funny that's where seller financing was really kind of that creative. Everything found a solution
Right.
with the supply and demand.
Right.
Found
yeah.
a way.
I should mention, when I was doing that one year in college, I sold shoes at Kenny's Shoes, and it was in the South Center Mall. And then I also did a stint selling appliances at appliance discounters.
funny.
I loved all of it. I mean, I loved selling shoes to women because they were so easy to sell the accessories to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You would
100%.
go over and grab a purse. They're trying their shoes on and walking around. You go over and grab a couple of handbags, matching handbags. They're like, "Oh, I'll take both of them."
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people that listen to the podcast or watch the podcast knew my dad, but they don't probably know my dad sold shoes.
Oh, he did.
When
Yeah.
he was young, and he said he had the female customers would come in, and he was always blown away because this one person in particular told me a story. She was like size 8 or 9, and she wanted to buy size 6, and he'd bring out the shoes, and she'd get so mad at him because they fit, but they were 8 or 9, and she wanted to buy 6s. And he'd go to the manager, and he's like, I don't get it. Like, just sell her what she wants.
Sell her what she wants. That's hilarious.
Didn't like big feet, I guess.
No, he should have been smart and been like, here, this is a size 6. It's really a 9.
Knowing my dad, he probably did.
And just,
I think
like,
he
hit
did
the box.
do that. I think
If he
changed
wants
the
the
box.
sale, that's what you do.
There you go.
And maybe that was the inside.
You'll switcheroo.
Customer
like, honey,
service.
your feet are really a size 6. Okay,
Yeah,
let me give you the
trust
right
me.
one.
Go home
Yeah,
and
I
show
got
her
this
husband.
right.
See, it's a size 6. Look
Yeah.
at the box.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's
the other
too
thing
funny.
that you reminded me of, my grandmother Hazel, which was my mother's mom, worked at the Forest Service for a long time. But before that, a lot of people don't know, she was the first bowling alley owner.
Really?
When it was on Main Street.
Yeah.
And my dad kind of got to know my mom because he was a pin setter.
Okay.
But there was no automatic. You just sat back down there.
Yeah, that
And-
was a job.
And how they kind of
Oh
met.
my goodness. Was there one per lane?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just
Oh,
and then you'd set
yeah,
them
you'd
all
have
back
to.
on. But what happened to him, which happened to a lot of those guys, is everybody's drinking beer and they're throwing balls at you. And one time, it kind of got a sympathy card from what ended up being, a lifelong partner of my mom. He married him because somebody threw the ball in a pin, he didn't get back out in time, broke his ankle.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
they
that's
started hanging out together.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I started doing the bowling alley thing with my dad. I was 12. And so we were doing a weekend gig at this bowling alley, Mercer Island Bowl. And in the summertime, no one goes to bowling alleys, They're out doing everything else. So my dad and I would get to the bowling alley and turn on a couple of lanes, and we bowled all day. All day.
Did you get good?
Oh, it was hilariously
Yeah.
good. My dad, he bowled well over a 300. I don't know how many times, because he was just throwing balls, and he could just throw strike after strike after strike. And I mean, I know the highest score you can get is 300, but the point is that he did it continuously.
Yeah.
Now, he could never replicate it in league.
The
course.
other thing I learned is like golf courses.
Oh, yeah.
You see a guy bowling really good at their home bowling alley, but the professionals go, and there's so many variables, like
Right.
Yeah.
the oil on
The
head.
oil, yeah. Where's the dry spots? Where is it oiled up? Yeah.
So when you like see these professionals and they're like, well, I'm an X-handicap or I'm a scratch golfer. That
Yeah.
means the professionals are a scratch golfer every course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they can just play it one time and they know everything versus,
Yep.
it's easy to do at your home course if that's all you play.
Too
Not
funny.
easy, but
Exactly.
to be a pro, I'm a 2 handicap at Chelan. I golf there every day. Oh, are you really?
Are you really a 2?
Yeah.
Well, I am here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, how do you like this? Is this working? It's kind of fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tell me about some of your most memorable professors or mentors, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was, particularly as it relates to broadcasting, there was a guy named Ed Dunaway, Big Ed Dunaway. He was, that was what he went by on the air. He was the afternoon guy on KMPS in Seattle, and he was truly my biggest mentor. Taught me so much. And he let me come to his home studio even on the weekends to try to learn the craft of being, on the air. And then was hugely instrumental in helping me get my first job. I had gone to Bellingham to apply for a job at this radio station and got turned away. Excuse me. And decided on my way back home, I would stop in Everett. And there was a top 40 radio station, KRKO. And when I walked in, and of course, I'm like 19 years old, in my suit and tie, and the program director's wearing T-shirts and Levi's, and I walked in and gave him my tape and my resume. And I said, hey, if you've got any openings, maybe. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay, kid. And he looked at my resume and he saw Ed Dunaway. And he goes, hey, Big Ed? And I said, yeah. Oh, in fact, thank you. He told me to tell you if I ran into you, give him a call. He really wanted to hear from you. And I said, I think the number's on there. He goes, yeah, I'll give him a call. Well, no cell phones in those days. So I hightailed it to a cell phone, called Ed, and I was like, hey, I just ran into this guy, R.P. McMurphy. He said he knew you. So call him, do something, tell him to give me a job. And so sure enough, R.P. called Big Ed, and they talked, did their little small talk, and then he said, hey, by the way, this Jeff Conwell guy came in, and actually back in those days, I used the air name Jeff Chase. Back in those days, you would use an air name. And so anyhow, he goes, hey, this Chase guy, Jeff Chase came in. And Ed goes, "Oh, would you give that kid a job and get him off my back?" And so that's how I got hired for my first radio job.
That's so cool.
You must have been a fan of like WKRP in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, that was so fun. I mean, there's so many things that are not like real radio, but that dates you right there, Russ. Yeah. But yeah, that was great fun that they actually made a radio show, WKRP, big fun.
I mean, how much has like radio, like the progression over the last 20, 30 years, what's changed? How's it changed?
Yeah,
All of it.
It's amazing the changes. I mean, technology, obviously. In fact, the last 3 years that I spent at KOZI, we have gone from analog. God bless, Steve Byquist and Jerry and all the guys that put KOZI together, because we've had to go from all of the work that they did and make it digital. Yeah. Which really is just fully computerized.
It's kind of amazing they went it lasted that long.
Yeah, it is. But we went from, you go back to in the day, and it went from playing records to then what were called carts, where every single song was on its own cart. And every single commercial was on its own cart. And you had cart decks that you would plug, these
like
things.
Like an 8-track.
Like an 8-track. They looked like an 8-track, but they only had one element on them.
Okay.
And so, and every one of them had a number, and you'd have a log, and you'd stack your music up in your commercials and just play them according to the log. And they were all triggered by the board, that you had, or you could push the button on the cart machine. Well, then records and carts went to CDs, and so it evolved to CDs, and that was a thing, for a number of years, and then it became computers, and so all of your music is on the computer, all of your commercials are on the computer, and they're logged. There's computer programs that log all of that stuff for you, and now you just push a mouse or a space bar.
And you just really hope you have no technical
and
issues
you hope,
that day.
And I've had that happen where it's like, particularly when we were going through the transition, you would be on the air and your computer is literally crashing before your eyes. Now, you're still on the air, so you have to keep talking while the computer's rebooting.
And you're trying to figure it out.
Oh, yeah, and you're talking, doing
and you're
wonderful.
Just hoping for
yeah, please come back, go.
back.
Yeah. So that's been a big step forward, and there's a lot of automation. I'm not going to lie, it's smoke and mirrors where, you could track out, we call it tracking out, a 4-hour show. Like I can track a 4-hour show in 20 minutes.
Okay.
Wow.
And so what happens in that process is you go into the studio, you go to the hour, let's say it's 10 a.m., and you click a button and it takes you to the first voice track. Well, you click the space bar and it plays the last 10 seconds of what you're coming out of, and then you press the space bar again to start recording, and you press the space bar again to start the next element.
Got it.
And then you press the space bar to stop it. So that's the whole sequence. Kind of freaky. And then you can go to, and then you go next, and it goes to the next element. So you just move right through instead of waiting for the record to play or the records. You just continue right through the music.
How do you feel about the future of radio, and with all of the competition from so many different places?
Yeah.
Primarily with respect to advertising.
Yeah. So here's the cool thing about radio is it's actually experiencing a big resurgence in the younger demographics returning to radio. It's crazy, but it's cool. What they're finding is all of this non-relational stuff isn't what it's all cracked up to be. Spotify.
Yeah.
It's like generic nothingness. There's no personality to it. And interestingly enough, particularly in our market, KOZI, even with younger demographics, moms, dads are listening for school things that we broadcast and community events that we broadcast. We get into fire season. They're depending on information regarding, all of the things that we have to deal with as a community. So, yeah, KOZI, or radio, to say in general, it was the Facebook, the Instagram, the social media in its heyday. Sure, there's been some pullback from that, but at the end of the day, we continue to step out into those formats as well. We're on social media and we reach out and we use those tools to continue to reach our demographic and our marketplace as well. So while it's evolved, we still enjoy a tremendous listener base. What's crazy about KOZI, and I love that radio station, we have listenership we video our broadcast every single day. We have over 10,000 views a month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really crazy, and from all over the world. It's nuts. I was looking at some of the demographics, and it's like people are watching in Israel. And I was like, what the heck? What are they doing watching in Israel? A lot of Dallas people watching in Texas, California, places all over.
Because you
just
can go
wouldn't think of.
online,
Yeah.
KOZI.com.
Yeah.
And
Or
then,
just it came across on their Facebook or
Yeah.
something, and then they subscribed
listen
to
to
it.
it.
And they subscribe to it. And so, we have a huge contingent of people that watch and listen in Western Washington, and they call in and they go, we listen because it makes us feel like we're there.
Yeah.
I don't even
And
know
they
how many
love
ads
this
I've cut on
place.
KOZI in 35 years, but I've cut a lot.
Yeah.
And they're funny. I mean, I go back 10, 15,
Oh,
20 years,
yeah.
and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
we were
It's-
talking about some crazy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But we
And-
had fun with it. It was like this really open forum.
Yeah.
You didn't have all the, like, boxing you in. You
Right.
could kind of just
And
be
we still
yourself.
invite that, right?
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, give us a call. I tell people, it's your show. Second cup of coffee, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what's cool about the digital part of it? Like I always asked them to send me the ads when we were done.
Sure.
Send me the recordings. I played the one we were on about the podcast.
Right.
With it, when it was like I don't know, maybe the 5th week, 6th week we
Oh, yeah,
started. And we
probably.
went on there and we talked about it. And it's kind of funny, a year, we've done like 55 of these in a row.
Yeah.
And it's fun to listen to the mission.
Mm-hmm.
So what's cool about the digital is you can kind of go back as a business
Yeah.
and listen to your commercials. So it's not just live and over, and then you can kind of story tell
Right.
in your business by reflecting on what worked, what didn't work.
You bet.
And put some more attention to
Yeah.
what you're doing.
What was my messaging? What was my offer? What was my messaging? Why would people be attracted to what we had to offer or say? Another cool thing that we're doing is we're in the process of making the client customer partnership experience with our marketers, with our advertisers, totally unique in that every client will have a login portal where all of their commercials will live, all their schedules.
Yeah, rather than having to get emailed.
Yeah, you don't. You
That's
can log in.
perfect.
Isn't that cool?
That's smart.
So it's like us stepping up
That's super
into those.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to making that. We should be next month or so. We're going to look to roll that out, and pretty excited about that as well. So technology in this broadcast world continues to evolve, and we just want to continue to serve our community first and foremost.
I believe that you hit the nail on the head with the personality. The authentic conversations that
Right.
we're losing.
Yeah.
We just had a 3-hour training that I gave the other day, day before yesterday. And it was all about really, the business itself is pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's just not easy, but there's no easy button.
Yeah.
Right.
And that the more easy buttons people, every day there's a new app that'll make $1 million for you in real
Sure.
estate or whatever business
Yeah.
you're in. I mean, you just hit the button, it'll do all the work. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And even though the tools get efficient,
Right.
they're still just tools.
They're tools.
And
Yeah.
that old school, new school concept of that human to human interaction.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
And I tell people in our office, we had almost 100 agents at one time a few years ago. We're at about 35 now, which is a much more desirable number for us. I learned that big isn't always,
Right.
from the management perspective,
Yeah.
it comes with some, and I'm got back into sales personally,
Right.
but we have the office and we're doing great. But I tell people, like, this thing can be used to talk into. It's very weird. You just call and then you talk versus texting and emailing,
Right,
and social
right,
media.
yeah.
And it's funny because it's just like any addiction. It's not just young people. It's easy to get addicted to shortcuts.
Sure.
And when you're selling, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or millions of dollars
Sure.
of stuff, you should probably talk to people.
Yeah.
You know,
You know?
what's also interesting that I know is a newer wave that's happening based off of actually wanting that more voice-to-voice personal connection. A lot of people are doing voice memos now instead of texting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that too.
That's a great
So
way
we'll
to do
get
it,
like
yeah.
a voice memo, which would be like, 30 seconds, 2 minutes long, whatever, instead of a long text message. And then you
Yeah.
just send voice memos back.
Yeah.
And that goes into, I had an agent tell me, and I've mentioned it many times because it blew my mind, but they said, I need to, when you age up, you just start realizing you're talking like your dad. And
I know. I
uphill
know.
both ways in school.
I'll never be like that. And then you are.
And then you are, and you're like, shit, I don't want to do that. So I got to listen to a lot of people, and one of them said, Russ, it's rude. They're honest. They go, it's rude to call somebody without texting and getting permission. I was like, what the, dude, get that guy. And then
But the flip side of that is, if I text you, this is just one of my little pet peeves. If I text you for a reason, But if I text you and you call me, I'm like, why are you calling me? I text you.
Yeah.
If I had time to talk,
See?
I would have called you.
See, what I thought was an absolute stupid thing to say to me.
There's no right answer.
There is no right answer.
Do
But-
what is authentic to you and just keep doing that.
Right.
Well, and it's
People
evident.
can choose to ignore
It's
your
very
call.
evident that people are busy, and when that agent had a good point. To your, there's a change that is happening, and so I'm as I reflected on it, and talk about it a lot. I'm like, okay, I'm not using records anymore. Or 8 tracks or CDs.
I know.
It's like, okay, well maybe there is, and maybe the voice memo is a more efficient way to communicate, if that's the way they want to communicate. And that's a big part of it, is what do they want?
Well, that's true. Now, it's interesting, too, as we talk about technology and things evolving. I mentioned, I think yesterday on the air, that I'm actually using ChatGPT. I'm looking at building a sidekick on the air with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will talk.
Yeah, of course.
It'll talk to you, right?
It's
You can
crazy.
actually, and so anyhow, I mentioned that on the air, and Ray Dobbs sent me a text, and he was like, back in the day, I had Scott Brundage, and he would, come in the studio, and we would have these, polarizing conversations, and it got people calling. He goes, you need to find, someone like that. And I was like, it's a different world in radio. It's not like we have a lot of people in the building like that anymore,
Yeah.
But who knows? We might try to just do a contest and invite sidekicks.
Be interesting if it
that'd
was
be
like,
fun.
you remember the Is It Real or Is It Memorex commercials?
Oh, yeah.
Where they couldn't tell if it was a cassette tape or a
Yeah.
real voice at the time. It was like, oh, that's so real on tape. It sounds like a real person.
Oh,
Right,
how
right.
funny.
Yeah.
So it'd be funny if
Same
you
thing.
did your sidekick and you had to ask, is that a real person or is that
Yeah.
is that ChatGPT?
Exactly.
A personality,
For sure. But it's crazy because I tried it out at home, and it'll literally sit there and talk to you.
Yeah, my wife was like, who is that
Weird.
girl in the building?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's the phone,
It
really.
sounds real. I mean,
Yeah, it
it's-
does.
and
It's
they-
kind of freaky.
Somebody told me that was Gary Vee, I think, is a business guy online a lot, and he said, a lot of people make the mistake and they type it in like it's a computer. You should talk to it like it's a person.
Yeah. I mean, it does talk like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting in the broadcast industry to see how much, because there are now complete AI radio stations out there.
Oh, wow.
I think they still sound a little canned. And there's no way that they're going to be able to, I shouldn't say no way. I can't foresee them being able to be spontaneous with information and news and things that you have to. And not only that, if you've used ChatGPT at all, you got to check ChatGPT, because
Yeah.
it'll just say stuff or make stuff up.
But it doesn't need to be fact checked yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely moving fast. I heard watch this investment advisor in institutional financing right now, which, basically where they're hiring people that get paid a bonus and a salary to get investments. If you want institutional financing and it's not AI related, they're not into it.
Oh, wow.
It's gone that fast
Yeah.
with the
Pretty
future.
nuts.
So it is pretty crazy. I don't know where we're going to end up.
Where does it end?
Yeah.
Do they
Well,
take over?
I did hear Tony Robbins had a recent podcast on some show, and I did think that this was a very good little tidbit. It's now that since we've been exploded with information, which ChatGPT is all of that, it's information at your hands. What every human now is really missing in life is wisdom, and you're not going to get that from ChatGPT. And that's what, like, you being on the radio, it's the human connection.
It's the relationship.
It's the heart connection that you can't get
No.
on the internet.
Yeah, most of that's wisdom through scar tissue, growing through life.
Right.
It's all the teachers are your mistakes, your failures, your setbacks.
Right.
That's the stuff that's hard to.
Yeah.
When you talk to a younger person and you're trying to explain some things, it's kind of like some things you're going to have to learn
100%.
on your own by doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
the best teacher.
doing-
Experience,
And it's okay if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, here we go.
All right.
More. Who are some of your closest friends in your 20s
Oh.
or now?
Yeah. So this is crazy. When I went to work, I got off the air, and this was my first job in radio off the air, which was really a weird experience. So I went from, being on the air to sales management at this radio station, and I was doing what was called retail marketing. And I walked into the station, and I met this guy named Jim Rubart, and we met each other, and it was one of those moments where you go, I've known this guy my whole life. just instantaneous friends.
Yeah.
And we became best friends, and still are. And he is a really hilarious guy, super bright, one of the best marketers that I have ever worked with. He and I worked in radio for about 4 years together, and then we left and started an ad agency together. And he's a professional magician. He's a musician as well, but he's also an author. In fact, when we were working at the radio station, he said, we were in my office, and I said, if you could do anything you want, what would you be doing? And he goes, I want to be a writer. I just want to be a writer. And I said, wow, that sounds so boring to me. But anyhow, to his credit, he went on to, he writes Christian fiction. And it's crazy cool stuff. I mean, he really writes really amazing stuff. And so he ended up not only becoming a great writer, he ended up getting contracts, and he's won what is the equivalent of like the Oscars and everything. It's called the Christie Awards. He's won like 10 Christie Awards.
Wow.
He was inducted into the Christie Hall of Fame. Wow. He's emceed all of their award ceremonies. Yeah, wow. He's gone on to be quite a prolific writer, and now trains people on how to become writers and marketers, and yeah, very cool. But anyhow, Jim has just been like one of the greatest friends that you could have, and a delightful guy. One of those guys that that no matter what the circumstances are in your life, boom.
Yeah, there's this. My dad used to say it, and it's as you grow up and you get older, you realize that there's a lot of truth to it. But if you have a couple at the end of your life that have been with you through all the ups and downs, you're lucky. You're a pretty blessed guy. You're a lucky guy. Yeah.
Now I would also say that there's a whole posse of guys out in Manson that I'm just great friends with, and I just value all of their friendships, and a lot of fun. I mean, being here in this community is just the best of life. Yeah. It just really is. So we feel blessed.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of on this plateau that's just about to kind of redefine itself again. Where are we going to go next?
I know.
It's kind of nobody knows for sure.
Yeah, and I remember one of the first things I did when I got here was I changed my phone number to 509.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of
I couldn't change it fast enough.
Yeah.
And I hate going to the other side. This is like just the best life here.
As soon as you hit traffic, you're like, this is why I left.
This is why I left. The people, there's just way too many people and too many cars and traffic. And this is just the sweet spot of life. And you're right. I mean, in my 27 years here now, I mean, I've seen so much change. And I just keep thinking, is 27 years long enough to say I'm a local? I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, what is your take on that? Do you feel like?
Well, I feel like Russ. I think change is inevitable. I mean, I watched it happen to my hometown. To where people talk about this great quality of life that they have in Issaquah, and I'm like, oh, you have no idea. Yeah. Just like you can say, Russ. And I think we still have that to a large degree, and I just want to enjoy every minute of it that I can, because it will change, and it hurts my heart in a way, but at the same time I would like to at least be part of the opportunity to let's at least have some sort of a voice in our destiny. Maybe I'm a less government guy, but I do think that you have to get involved. Be involved in your community. You can't just sit on the sidelines and whine and complain.
No, and that's where I say, my kids are fifth generation, so I've been here. I've been here a while, so I could probably be a local under the old definition. But I have a fairly new one in my brain. Is like, if you live here, and you're a good person, and you're involved, and you help each other. You're just a good human being, and you live in this town. You're local.
There you go.
That's, to me, the question is kind of loaded, because 27 years, 37 years, 10 summers, 20 summers. I mean, I've heard every definition.
Yeah.
But does there really need to be a title? Because to me, it kind of it leads people down this polarizing.
You bet.
Where it's where it's them and us, and it's just not that way.
No.
And if something is inevitable, you can embrace and love today. I can embrace and love my childhood and my high school years, and I can embrace and love every part of my life and everything that is inevitable to change. If you just want to be mad, it doesn't help.
No.
It's
That's a good way to put it.
It just doesn't be mad, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like,
let's make some bridges.
And if you want to help, if you want to help steer certain things, get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's okay. And maybe get involved early.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to have 3 generations here to get involved.
You know, and for sure.
Dive in.
That's what I was saying earlier about, the guys like Rod Brooks that are greatest guys ever, and they're ready to give back. They want to participate. They want to do that. I mean, when you're raising kids and you're going to all the sporting events, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to hit these city council meetings. But the one thing I do, I see it happen in HOAs a lot, where there's a neighborhood that's been a neighborhood a long time, and then all of a sudden there's a new president, and that president's a lawyer from California.
Right.
Let's pick on California. I won't pick on Seattle.
And why not?
Yeah. And then they're like, we need all these rules. And they're like, how about we stick with common sense?
There you go.
How about we just be good people?
Yep. That's the way to roll.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Less is more sometimes.
Always, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun to be around you because you have such a positive energy.
Well, thank you.
And I think you're contagious that way, and we need more of that.
100%.
So.
Yeah,
and I'm excited that you're back on air. I told you we're going to come in and
let's do it.
A year later.
Yeah, right, because it was about a year ago that we were in talking about the program.
It was.
And it's a great community service that you're doing, because it does give us kind of a window into people's lives and, some of the characters in our community. And
Jerry, when he was on, he gave us a big compliment. He kind of said, you're kind of another level of Second Cup of Coffee.
I love
that was his baby, right?
100%. Yeah. Anytime, it's funny you bring up Jerry, my yardstick is when I get an email saying something positive from Jerry, I feel like I knocked it out of the park. He'll send me an email and he'll go, great job, or this was awesome, nice work on that. I'm like, yes, nailed it.
He texted me this morning.
We're
We're getting together for coffee next week, and he's giving me names. You should got this guy. He has such history with
He's a wonderful guy. He's been such a great influence in this community, and we've been blessed for decades.
Yeah, Ray Dobbs got a hold of me too.
Yeah, Ray Dobbs. There's another guy you need to get on the blower. Another terrific guy.
He's got a lot going on too, and that's the fun thing about getting to know people today. You might know of them from when you knew them.
Yep.
But they don't stop.
It goes on.
He's doing all kinds of fun stuff.
That's great.
That he shared with me. So it's hopefully we continue to do it. We'll get on the air and we'll talk some more. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Come play with me on the radio.
Yeah, it sounds like KOZI's doing amazing, so that's awesome.
It's awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
Great.
And thanks for volunteering for being our first.
I hope I pass.
There's no pass-fail here. Everybody gets an A.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me to come.
I think people love this one. All right. Well, that's it. We're signing off from Small Towns Unscripted.